Hello, teachers. Today, my team made of Maricielo, Cotrina, Mariana, Tovar, and me, Angél, we will present our CLIL sessions to you. First of all, we need to give some content of this unit. According to data from the World Health Organization in 2016, it was estimated that the number of children with overweight or obesity has increased from 32 million in 1990s to 41 million in 2016 worldwide. Therefore, as it is a health problem that significantly affects society, we wish to develop a thematic unit addressing topics related to how to lead a healthy lifestyle. In this unit, we aim to teach children the tools and skills necessary for a fulfilling life in society. Well, the topics we develop in the 10 sessions are in session 1, the healthy diet, with the title How to Have a Healthy Diet. In the session 2, the healthy diet and the types of food. In session 3, physical activity, with the title we talk about physical activities. Session 4, personal hygiene with self-care essentials. Session 5, the environmental care with the 3 R's. Session 6, with the mental health, and let's talk about mental health. The session 7, disease prevention. How can we prevent disease? Session 8, sleep and rest, and explore with the title Exploring the Wonders of Sleep. The session 9, social security with the exploration in child safety. And session 10, self-esteem with the title Let's Talk About Self-Esteem.
Okay, now we are going to show you our session that we have selected. Let's see which one is going to be. Well, which is the session 5. This session is about environmental care, and the title of it is the 3 R's. That means recycle, reuse, and reduce. The subjects that we are going to choose is social studies. The year that we are going to apply this session is going to be 3rd grade. The timing of the session, the duration, it's going to be 45 minutes. And here you can see in the screen the resources that we are going to use. We are going to show the students video. Then we are going to use some paper bottles, some cupboards, some items that the kids are going to select and put it into trash bins. Then we have the PPT of the session, we have a worksheet, and finally we are going to use a checklist for the recycling of an art creation. Well, here we have the content related to the learning objectives. The students will understand the significance of environmental care. They're going to demonstrate awareness of recycling practices through activities promoting sustainability. And in order to the content objectives, they are going to understand the importance of recycling. They're going to categorize waste items into appropriate recycle bins that I have already mentioned that. Then they are going to apply quantifiers and conditional sentences in writing exercise. And then they are going to engage in hands-on activities to reinforce recycled concepts. And in the case of language objectives, they are going to use vocabulary related to recycling and environmental care. And they are going to participate in many discussions and activities to enhance their language proficiency. And in the case of the skills that we are going to develop in this session, we have the speaking, the writing, and the interaction. In the case of the speaking, we are going to reinforce our students to talk each other to answer some questions. That's why we are mentioning the speaking form. In the case of writing, they are going to complete a worksheet that then we are going to show to us. And in the case of interaction, in many parts of our session, they are going to interact with many students and they are going to talk to each other. And in the case of grammar of learning, in the case of vocabulary, they are going to see the type of materials that we can recycle in the case of paper, plastics, and etc. Then we have the part of the grammar. In the case of grammar, we are going to talk about conditional sentences. If everyone planted a tree, what will be the condition, right? And quantifiers, in the case of many, few, a lot, plenty of, could be we saw many bottles in the street. Another example could be we saw plenty of trash in the school, maybe. And then in the case of language for learning, here we are going to mention the activities that the students are going to do in the session. One activity, it's going to be that the students are going to make a first classification of the rubbish using their own criteria and their knowledge of recycling. In this case, the teacher is not going to interference in their answers. And then we have another activity that the students are going to make the second blind classification. They're going to focus on identifying the material of each item and placing it in the correct trash bin. The teacher is going to interfere now in the answer of the students. Then we have that the students are going to complete a worksheet. They are going to use quantifiers and the condition and the structure. Then we are going to show you all our worksheet. And then we have that our students are going to create their own artwork using recycled materials. They can create, could be a poster, could be um, many other things, right? And then in the case of language through learning, students take care of their environmental and understand the importance of recycling and reusing. And then students will express their preference for eco-friendly practices such as choosing reusable items over disposable ones. Here we mean that, for example, in case of using many bottles, plastic bottles every day, they can use a glass bottle instead of many of the other ones, right? And then students will discuss the causes and effects of pollution. In the case of lots on HOTS, related to the condition, in the case of lots, we are going to focus on the stage of remember, understand, and apply. We are going to use remember because our students are going to recall their previous knowledge related to recycling. And then in the case of understand, students are going to classify the different waste items such as bottles, paper, cans, etc. in the correct trash bin. And then in the case of apply, students are going to solve a worksheet using quantifiers and conditional structure. And in the case of HOTS, we are going to use create, and the students are going to design their own recycle artwork following the specified criteria. Then, related to questions that we are going to use in our session in order to develop this understanding of the environmental curve, we are going to use some questions such as, what do you think it means to take care of the environment? Why it's important to recycle, reuse, and reuse? Do you recycle at home? What items do you recycle? How can you encourage your family or friends to recycle? What are some actions you can commit to doing to help the environment? Some of these questions are going to be answered by groups. Some of these questions are going to be answered individually. And then in the case of culture, we are going to show a video to our students related to the compilation of a 10 list of the most polluted countries around the world. And we are going to provide some pictures, some images for students to see and compare the contamination levels in each country. And this exercise is going to be really important because they are going to get out of the ordinary zone. So they're going to see the environment in other cultures and countries.
Now we're going to see how this session is going to develop. First, we're going to start with the enabling activities. For this, the teacher, before the class and before the students enter to the class, the teacher will arrange a variety of waste items like paper, plastic bottles, cans, and others to create this like chaotic and mess space and hands-on environment. This is with the purpose to set the context for the upcoming activity where the teacher will show them a video, as Maricielo mentioned, a video of contamination in different countries. As you can see here, we have some extracts, some pictures from the video that shows like the situation about how polluted these countries are. And the purpose is to students to observe both in the video and in the class, the assortment of items, and the teacher then will organize them into groups and instruct the students to categorize the rubbish into different groups. In this part, students are encouraged to establish their own criteria for classification or recall information about recycling. These to promote the critical thinking and active engagement. And after this activity, the groups will share their ideas and they will tell why they choose these criteria to classify all those elements. We enter to the development and final product, where the teacher introduced the topic of recycling using the following presentation. As we already mentioned, the session is called 3 R's: recycle, reuse, and reduce. And first the teacher shows them a picture and asks the students what they see in the picture. This with the purpose that students can mention different rubbish items like card box, plastic bags, bottles, or anything they see in this picture. After that, the teacher introduced the different types of rubbish, for example, plastic rubbish, and what kind of elements we can find in plastic rubbish, like as we can see, water bottles, plastic bags, milk jugs, food packaging, and this with the other types like glass rubbish, paper rubbish, metal rubbish, and one more that is organic rubbish. And after this explanation, the teacher shows them the different recycling trash bins. As we can see here, there are 5 trash bins, recycling trash bins. For example, the blue trash bin is for paper, the green trash bin is for glass, the yellow trash bin is for metal, the orange trash bin is for plastic, and the black one is for organic rubbish. And after the teacher explained this, we continue with the other activity that is called recycling sorting game, that consists. First, the teacher will organize the students into groups, and each group will choose a representative person that will be blindfolded, and we'll have to choose from a trash bin where there will be all the elements that we use at the beginning. It means like the paper, the can, the bottles. All these elements will be mixed in the same trash bin, and these select students will be blindfolded, and he or she will have to choose one element from this trash bin. He or she will have to touch it and try to guess from which material this element is made from, and we'll have to classify in the correct recycling bin with the help of their teammates. After that activity, the teacher will return again to the PowerPoint to present the grammar part. In this case, we're going to talk about the quantifiers and the conditional sentences. First, the teacher will explain the quantifiers, the 4 types of quantifiers. As you can see here, we have the universal quantifiers, the relative quantifiers, the definite and indefinite quantifiers. And also, she will show them one example, this for better understanding for the students. And then she will explain the conditional sentences. As we can see here, she will show them the 4th type of conditional sentences, the 0 conditional, 1st conditional, 2nd conditional, and 3rd conditional, each of them with their corresponding structure and also with example. And after that explanation, the teacher will this will be an individual activity where the teacher will provide each student a worksheet. As you can see here, this worksheet is divided in 2 parts. The first part is more focused on using the quantifiers, because the students will have to fill in the blank spaces with the appropriate quantifier, but we also want to emphasize that these sentences also use this conditional structure. So here we are like mixing the quantifiers and conditional sentences in one activity, but here we are more focused on using the quantifiers. But in the second part of this worksheet, the students will write 3 sentences, but in this case, we're focusing more on using the conditional structure. They will have to write 3 sentences. They can use whatever type of conditional they want. Maybe they can use a 0, the 1st, the 2nd, or the 3rd conditional. And also these sentences has to be related with the recycling and environmental care. We also provide them an example as a guide for them to do their own sentences. And finally, for the assessment part, we want to evaluate students. Well, we want them to do work in pairs or in groups, and they have to use recycled materials to do a recycling artwork. And they can also do a sculpture or whatever they want, but they have to use these recycled materials. And for this, we will show them like the checklist, like the criteria we want as teachers to see in their artworks. We are working with 5 criteria, and that's it. Thank you.